So I expect I'll be trimming the YouTube file this week. That's fine. Okay, YouTube is up. And I'll just keep an eye on I'll keep an eye on Twitch while you get started. So whenever you're ready. Oh, hold on, let me fix
Yeah.
the video. One sec.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hey Jake,
Mm-hmm.
are you ready to buy your GabeCube next year?
Much rather the Gaben 64 myself.
Today on. Hey, it was both of us over the intro.
I had to get my Gaben 64 in 6 feet of snow. That's how we did it.
Don't snow over the intro.
Oh boy. It's not the 80s.
Wow. So on I'm not going to say the words because if we ever get monetized, YouTube will demonetize us for saying certain words. So we are talking about 80s and snow. No. Today we are talking hang on, let's back up. Welcome everybody to another episode of Press B to Cancel. Your favorite podcast for odd drinks during the holidays. It's an inside joke. Today we are talking about the announcements that Steam just did, or Valve really just did, about the new hardware that they're releasing and our takes on our impressions and takes.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Sinistar. I'm not alone though. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing great. As always, I'm really happy it's a Friday.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I wanted to do this episode. It was a bit last minute for us, but we both own Steam Decks. Actually, all of us on the podcast own Steam Decks and love the hardware. And some of the announcement that we'll get to, like the Steam Machine, is something that I wish they did 10 years ago. So I'm glad they finally done it, and I'm interested to talk about it. So and go over the specs and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, we might as well get right into it.
Yeah.
The I am I am going to say that every moment of every time I see an announcement from Valve, I really wonder if it's the announcement for when Valve starts the enshittification or Valve becomes the evil company, because that is how
Yeah.
everybody else is. And so far, I guess the most like controversial or unfortunate thing that they have done is they have had to comply with EU law and say you're renting games, you don't own them.
Right.
But that wasn't on them. That was on complying with EU law, right?
Yeah. Or they complied with
Yeah,
Sony, like Helldivers. I think they couldn't sell it in
yeah,
certain regions because Sony said no, right? Like that kind of thing.
yeah,
They've always been, as a company, a bit different, right, in terms of their culture. I mean, they're very private company, but whenever you hear like interviews or glimpses of the inside and how they operate and function, they're
yeah,
definitely know what they've got. They take their time. They don't necessarily rush to act on trends, right? This is a company that certainly didn't really look at NFTs when those were the hot thing everybody's freaking doing a couple years ago. They haven't mentioned AI, for example, at
yeah,
all, right? So they're very
yeah.
methodical in what they do. In some ways, they're like Nintendo without the lawsuits, I guess, right? Because Nintendo doesn't rush on this stuff either. Nintendo always
This is
takes their
true.
time, right?
This is
So
true.
just they just have a lawyer team. But yeah, Valve is. I mean, I don't want to be like a shill for Valve, but I like a lot of what Steam does. Like honestly,
Yeah,
like everything they've done, even the stuff that's a failure, I guess, like the original Steam controller. I still liked what they did with that, and I bought one. I still like
yeah.
messing around with it.
I bought one. I bought a Steam Link back in the
Right?
day. We're gonna get to Steam machines. This is actually the second time that they have done Steam machines, but the
Yeah.
first time they did not produce their own hardware other than a dev kit.
Yeah.
And I genuinely was interested in the first one. It just sadly, had a failure to launch, but it wasn't because of them. It was because uh, honestly the competition at the time, and well, okay, I guess this is a little bit on them. It was not. compatible like the Steam Deck is today, or the future Steam machine.
Yeah.
And that was really part of its downfall. Was people had to look at it and go, "Oh, the library has," I'm throwing a number out, 1,200 games in the 72,000 games that are on Steam,
Yeah.
right? Like, um, and so, but I really I appreciate that they try something, and
Yeah.
then everything that they learn from it that's positive moves forward and iterates,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
Yeah,
going back to that 10 years ago when they brought out Steam machines, the concept of it, right? Like the idea was, how can you bring PC gaming, make it easier to get into for the average person, and how do you put it on a TV in the living room, right? And
yeah,
yeah, like they basically wanted to set a standard or like a low bar for requirements for hardware manufacturers. And I love that idea, but I
mhm,
especially loved how that's when they brought out Steam Big Picture Mode, right? The idea of that
yep,
10-foot interface, a big screen version of Steam. And
yep,
that's something that they've iterated on, they've updated on, and I've been using it for the last 10 years. I used to have a PC hooked up to my TV, and then
mhm,
eventually that interface is what evolved into what is on the Steam Deck. But Valve also back then, yeah, we both have one. Valve also brought in better controller support for PC gaming. Like Steam
yes,
Input configuration on Steam goes back to then. And before Steam
yeah,
Input, before Steam embraced the controllers for that format, it was the Wild West to controller support on PC, right? Like it was like there was
yeah,
dongles for the Xbox 360 controller that was really crappy. There was
yep,
Logitech controllers. I mean, there's a lot of really bad support, and it was not nearly as smooth experience. It was definitely not as low latency as it is today, and definitely not as much support as there is today. And it's all because of Steam machines 10 years ago
yeah,
and that initiative. So
yeah,
I've been waiting for a hardware like this to come from Valve for 10 years because I wanted one of these like you, and nobody was really making one. So I made my
yeah,
own. Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but it was
I
Windows, right? I didn't mess with Linux back then.
I did as well. I had a machine at our old house that literally booted up into Windows, and depending on the day, I would pop up Big Picture, or I would pop up, a browser to watch movies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it, yeah, the controller thing, like you basically had like X input and then good luck,
Yeah. That's pretty much
right?
what it was, right? Is
Yeah,
a D input, I think was the other one.
I
It
think
was just yeah.
so. But I think I call that good luck because honestly, the configuration on any controller was just bad.
Remember using
And I
Joy to
love,
key?
yeah. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
talk about latency, right?
Yeah.
No, I love that you plug in or not plug in. You either plug in or you connect via wireless your PS whatever controller.
Yeah.
And Valve and Steam is like, "Hey, this game works fine with your PS whatever controller." It literally tells you,
Yeah.
"I know what you're using and I've configured it." You know? Um, yeah, absolutely came from Steam machines, and the Steam Link, because the Steam Link
Yes.
came out of the Steam machines, right? I mean,
Yeah.
um,
And that was the
so I yeah,
streaming device, right? The device that
yeah,
let you stream your gaming PC to your TV. And like
yeah,
that was a fantastic idea 10 years ago or
yeah,
whatever it was. And
yeah,
even though that didn't fail, that kind of failed, that
yeah,
technology, like you said, they've built on it. And that's again what in Steam today for streaming. It's in the Steam Deck, and it's also in what they're
yeah,
launching next year. So they
yep,
definitely learned from the failures, good and bad, right? Like it just they
right,
smart company.
yeah. Well, let's start with kind of the what I view as kind of the simplest launch or simplest announcement, which is the new Steam controller.
Okay.
Um, so the Steam controller, basically imagine, and for those that are listening, I'm holding up my Steam Deck, but basically imagine that you take the screen out of the Steam Deck and you actually angle things in just a little bit. You angle things in just a little bit. So you have the two sticks, you have the D-pad, you have the two touchpad controls, um, and it and honestly, like the form factor, kind of like almost the shell looks pretty close to the Nintendo Switch controller. Like,
Oh, like the Pro controller, you think so?
yeah, it
Okay.
kinda looks a little bit like a Switch Pro, at least the top, kinda that curvature.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, this is really there's not a lot to say. I've in our Discord, I don't remember who said, but they basically said, "I don't have I have questions about the controller. It doesn't look comfortable or whatever to me." Having a Steam Deck, I thought the same thing when the Steam Deck was announced. I looked at those controls all the way up in the upper corners and I was like, that looks uncomfortable. It looks unfortunate. Those touchpads look gimmicky and stupid.
Yeah.
And you know what? It all works. It all genuinely works. Are the touchpads a perfect control? Absolutely not. But you're gonna use those 5% of the time.
Well, you know what? It depends on the game, right? I had my doubts
Yeah.
too. One of the reasons I didn't buy a Steam Deck for the longest time, you guys got it before I did, is I was like that. I was like, this controls look stupid. I don't think I'll ever use it. And then when I finally got my hands on it, it is actually a very comfortable controller layout, much more than I expected. But the touchpads, especially when I first got the Steam Deck, I was messing around with Diablo 3, and Diablo 3 has an excellent Switch port with controller support, which is fantastic, but it doesn't have that controller support on the PC. But somebody
Yeah.
had made a Steam profile that uses the trackpads for Diablo 3, and it feels amazing. You rotate, you move your thumb on it. It doesn't feel like a mouse. It feels like you're on a I don't know, like a joystick, but with a trackpad, and it just follows you around the cursor.
Huh.
Very intuitive. It feels just as good as the Switch version on an actual controller. So it's fake
Okay.
controller support with Diablo 3, but it's like with that, but also games like Gal Civ, right? Playing it like a 4X game works great, right? Anything most like
Yeah.
Sim City, not Sim City,
Yeah.
whatever that city
Civ.
builder, Civ, yeah, Civ,
Oh, or City Skylines.
yeah, City Skylines, that's the one. Playing that
Yeah.
with the Steam Deck feels great. Like those trackpads, shockingly good, and part of that is because of the haptics. And it's so weird to say that
Mm,
it
yeah.
shakes well, but it really does. When you run your thumb over it, it
Yeah.
actually vibrates depending on the speed and the frequency, and it actually feels very tactile. So that
Yeah.
is one of my favorite things about it. But again, going back to Steam Input, is you can configure all kinds of cool stuff with the trackpads. Like you can configure it so that it pops up an on-screen menu, and then you
Mm,
can select from a wheel of options, and you can put icons,
mm,
labels, the whole nine yards. If you want to get in the weeds with it, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with Steam Input, and those trackpads can be really part of it. And again, it's something that you don't have on a typical Xbox controller, right? It's a
yeah.
different a set of input. It's the trackpads are definitely underrated for what they are.
Okay. Yeah. I don't use them. It sounds like I don't use them nearly as much as you do,
Yeah,
and maybe that's to my detriment. I should probably give them more. Speaking of iterating from failure, I I guarantee that those trackpads came out of the original Steam controller where they did away with like basically the two thumbsticks and made them trackpads, right?
well,
I think
they had one thumb, they had one
they had one
stick,
thumb. Yeah.
and instead of a D-pad, instead of the right
Yeah.
joystick, they had the two owl eyes trackpads.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I like that controller for the idea of it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely missing something by not having both actual analog sticks.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So, now what's kind of cool, and we're going to get to this, because they have announced a new VR headset. But while we're talking about the Steam controller, um, the VR headset that they have announced it looks like it does not require base stations, and
it
it
doesn't.
tracks either the hand controllers, and this is really interesting and cool. It also tracks the Steam controller.
Okay,
So if it's a game that has, you can use you can actually like see it in the headset, and you can move it and everything like that, and it tracks just like the two hand controls. So they have
that's pretty
made
cool.
this kind of one ecosystem across.
Yeah, I know that they've said with the because the thing with VR is interesting is that it's never quite taken off like I wanted it to. Like I'm an early adopter of VR,
Mhm,
going back to Oculus's Kickstarter back in the day. I have a dev kit
mhm.
on my shelf behind me. Like I love the idea of VR gaming, but it's been years, and outside of Beat Saber, there hasn't really been a killer app for VR. Valve has dipped their toes in with Half-Life Alyx, which was really great, but there
Right.
hasn't been much. So when they announced the Steam frame, I was kind of curious what their game plan was. But seeing interviews, it seems like yes, it's a VR headset, but they're also trying to get to people to realize it's also just the world's biggest TV screen for your eyes. So
It
you can
is.
actually play any game on Steam on this thing with, like you said, the regular controller or the Steam controller. So you don't have to do the whole VR thing if you want to. You can just look
Yeah,
around at a giant screen. And that's true. I've done that, and that is cool as hell too. So
yeah.
it's kind of neat.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? We're gonna spin into the
Yeah,
well,
we'll keep
one
going.
last thing on the Steam controller. They have basically said that they are using what is the next progression from Hall Effect sticks,
Yes.
which are TMR or tunnel magneto resonance or something like that.
Is that what it is?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and basically the reason that they didn't do Hall Effect is because Hall Effect has a power requirement that they didn't want to give,
Oh,
like an
okay.
actual energy requirement that they didn't want to give. They wanted something more efficient. And so supposedly like Hall Effect, very resistant to drift, very resistant to, all of that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, TMR is on the new controller. So
I
as well as the thumb or the hand controllers for the frame. But anyway,
Yeah, well, because the controller, the neat thing it does too is the Steam Deck has a lot of this as well, where there's a lot of sensors on the controller that people don't
mhm,
necessarily realize, like the thumbsticks on
mhm,
the Steam Deck, and it's like this on the Steam controller. Have capacitor sensors on the tip, so it knows if you're touching the stick or not. And they've
yep,
done that with the Steam controller, where if you're holding the grips fully, to use it as a gyro or motion like a steering wheel. If you're gripping it the right way, the controller will know and can turn in the gyro aiming. And gyro aiming
yeah,
is pretty underrated. I use that in games like Warframe all the damn time. So
nice,
a lot of tech in that controller. In some ways, it reminds me what Nintendo tries to do with the Joy Cons, but at least the
yeah,
Steam controller is big enough for my hands where it doesn't cramp. Right? It feels like
right,
it's weight to it, but a
right.
ton of tech in there. And I'm curious about the battery life, whether it's going to be like, is it going to be like the Xbox controller batteries with a pair of AA's, or is it going to be closer to what Nintendo does with their Pro controller? Because
Yeah,
Nintendo is like a master at battery life, right? So I'm wondering if they've got any of that. I did see that it's using a. I was worried it's using a proprietary battery pack thing that clips on,
it is.
but you don't have to use that. There is also a USB-C port on it, which is great because
Correct.
my kids will lose that puck thing within 12 days. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's crazy. So it has both. But I like the again, they're trying to do new stuff with this, right? But I could easily see a
Yep.
dock for this controller within a year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this kind of leads us into the Steam frame. So the Steam frame is the next iteration of Steam's VR offerings. Um, it's really it's very interesting because the way that they are kind of selling it to the at least the YouTube channels that they've had come and try it out is that the front plate is a separate piece, the strap is a separate piece, the foam, all of those are separate pieces. I mean, obviously you have to kind of have them all to work together, but I think this is going to breed an entire industry of accessories for this thing. Um, so real quick specs on this. One of the coolest things is it is a standalone device, does not need a computer, period.
Right.
Now, if you want to, you can stream from a computer. So let's say you have something with a 40 something or a 50 something or the latest 90, 70, RDNA 4, whatever. You can obviously do higher fidelity, and it uses its own dongle that is 6 gigahertz. So
Yeah.
a lot of bandwidth. And every YouTube reviewer, including Gamers Nexus, who I have some trust for, and Linus Tech Tips, who I have less trust for, they all basically say that the streaming is flawless. So,
Did they say how
and
far they
yeah,
were from the dongle? Because
no,
that
they
was my one concern.
no,
No.
and at 6 gigahertz, I wouldn't go terribly far. I mean, you can go far as long as you have a line of sight, right?
Okay. Yeah, because I
But
mean,
yeah,
yeah. So I would say with like the streaming tech is what I would use it for if I got one. I do have Oculus. Sorry, I guess not Oculus anymore. It's the Meta Quest 2 because Facebook bought them, and that's also a standalone device, and you can use it to play games on the device. But
yeah,
there's much more value in using it as a way to stream from a PC, and that's what I normally do.
yeah,
And it doesn't have 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi, but it does have 5. But the range is not
yeah,
very good. And if I do the 2.4, you're
mm,
right. I have to be within line of sight, which is disappointing because my Steam Deck, I stream from that all over the house, no problem.
yeah,
So I'm hoping
yeah,
this with the dedicated Wi-Fi dongle and that range of Wi-Fi, it doesn't
yeah.
have as much traffic in my house. So I'm wondering if that would be
Okay,
better. Because yeah, like
yeah.
yeah,
Um, and obviously, I mean, any wireless, everybody wants wireless to be better than it is, right?
right, yeah,
I mean, wireless is basically like a good enough tech, right? It really is a good enough tech. And we do try to abuse it, right? So, like, we're trying to push over, 1.5 gigabits or whatever, right? I don't know where
right,
we're at now with Wi-Fi 6 or what or 7, but um, I mean, I have hopes, and I don't know how true this is, but I think Gamers Nexus mentioned that um it may be able to use your existing Wi-Fi or your 6 gigahertz, so Wi-Fi 7 or Wi-Fi 6 or 7 access point if you so desire. So if you have something like multiple access points in your house, it actually may be able to use that and give you a lot more extension of range.
okay,
Um, so I can't quote on that at all. Um, but I do remember something about that.
yeah.
Okay,
But
so
I
it's a
do.
standalone. Go ahead.
So yeah, like you said, it's a standalone headset, and much like the Oculus Meta Quest, or sorry, the Meta Quest 2, I'm gonna keep calling Oculus. It doesn't use base stations or cameras to track. It's all built into the
Yeah.
headset. I think it's got like 4 monochrome cameras in it
Yep.
for tracking. It also has there's IR sensors on the controllers,
Yeah.
and it's all and like I if it's and I'm gonna assume it's gonna be, but if it's like the Meta Quest, that's pretty flawless. Like much better than I ever expected when in terms of like rolling your head around or moving the controllers.
Yeah.
It's incredibly accurate. So I'm assuming Valve has stolen that kind of idea to use for
Yeah.
this because there's nothing worse than trying to set up the cameras in your room. I hated doing it with my old headsets.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I loved my Vive, but honestly, like having to have the base stations always unblocked from view, yet yada yada yada. It I mean, you can tell it was first gen tech, right? So okay. Anyway, here's a really cool thing. The Steam Deck has a micro USB port on it, right? Sorry,
Correct.
micro SD port on it, right? Well, so does the frame, and basically Steam is taking and turning a micro SD into a game cartridge. You can move between the devices and your installed games will just work.
That's pretty rad. That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
So
Yeah.
you can be like, "Hey, I plug into my Steam Deck and I'm now playing this game. I don't want to go download." Imagine an area where bandwidth is limited, or you have, fees for bandwidth or blah blah blah. Look, install it once on an SD, move it between your devices, including the upcoming discussion we have on the Steam
Yeah.
machine.
That would be really awesome for people who like Beat Saber, and
Mhm.
like if you're downloading custom songs, that's sizable amount of space, and to have to re-download that and configure that would be a real pain in the butt. If that can all go with the SD card, that'd be freaking awesome. I'd have to see how that works. That's an
Yeah.
interesting idea.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing that kind of tickles my tech fancy here. Because I'm a tech nerd. So the Steam Frame runs a ARM CPU. So for those that don't understand the difference between an ARM versus, say, a desktop processor, an ARM processor is what you have in your phone,
Right.
and an ARM processor is what Apple is using successfully on their platform. But like Microsoft struggles every day to try to make ARM work. Linux actually has moderately decent ARM support, which is why
Okay.
the Steam Frame has good ARM support. But just like Proton, and for those that don't know Proton, it's what makes it so you can run almost every game on a Steam Deck, which is not a Windows device. But just like Proton, they have created, I think they've at least contributed to a product called an open source product called FEX, which is a x86/x64 to ARM emulation layer. And and I was watching a talk with them, and it's cool to hear them say we are basically where Steam Deck was when we all first got our Steam Decks, where it's like literally every day it's like, hey, this game didn't work yesterday, it works today.
Right.
They are doing that. They are at that tier where they're like, I come into the job and the next day game X now works.
Yeah.
Right. And so yeah.
Like that was the most shocking thing for me is going back 10 years ago from when they first announced, like, hey, gaming on Linux is a thing. You could totally do this. And when I first tried looking at it, like, there's no support here. But until I
Yeah.
got the Steam Deck 10 years later, the Steam Deck in my hands, and there is like one, maybe two games I've tried on the Steam Deck that don't support it, but nearly everything else does. And it's mind-boggling that how that support works. And I swear there's games I can play on the Steam Deck that work better than Windows, just because there's not a lot of junk on there. Because
Yeah.
Windows has a lot of stuff running in the background I don't necessarily want. The Steam Deck is a dedicated gaming device, and it shows. So I love Steam OS, and
Yeah.
if this is open source to the point where other device manufacturers that are running on ARM, I'm thinking of all those Chinese handhelds, like the Arn, I think is coming out. I think there's a Thor.
Yeah.
There's a Retro Pocket. If any of those devices are powerful enough to tap into Steam OS, that could be pretty interesting, right? I mean, obviously, wouldn't run every Steam Deck game, but to have
Right.
like a cheap Steam handheld could be really interesting. So I'm
Yeah.
curious how far that emulation goes and how widespread it becomes.
Yeah. Well, they've open sourced this product.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. Yeah.
it's the world can contribute. And just like Proton, like you now have like, the glorious egg roll version or the GE Protons, which they go in and they make tweaks.
Right.
Just like that, we're gonna see glorious egg roll fex, right? I mean, you know, so I think it's awesome. Dude, imagine playing Steam games on a Raspberry Pi,
Yeah. Right.
right?
And it wouldn't be like, you're not going to play Call of Duty or something on there, but you'd be
Right.
able to play like oh, gosh, what it's like, I don't know, like Dispatch just came out. That's not a very
Yeah.
powerful game. It's not very taxing on your computer, but being able to play that on the go on another device would be really awesome.
Half the roguelikes, right? Like
yeah, half
spin
the
up a
roguelikes for
roguelike,
sure.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
So it's pretty cool
Um,
tech. Are you into VR
yeah.
gaming at all? Like, you had a
I
Vive
did
Index?
I
What do
did
you use it
VR for
for?
a while.
Okay.
I did it for a while. It was there was a thing, audio what was it? It was before Beat Saber, like Audio Shield or something like that. I like that quite a bit.
Oh yes. Okay.
There was so this is years and years and years ago. Um, there were some early like there was an early RPG that was kind of, it was obviously just here, this is what the thing can do kind of tech.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, the thing I loved to do uh a lot of the time is Google released that paint program that was a 3D painting in space for
Okay.
VR, that like you could stand in the painting and like draw.
I never
Like,
did try that. Okay.
oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. Um, so I don't know, VR was cool. Um, I understand it's a lot better today. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, so I had the dev kit and then I moved to the consumer version from Oculus, and then I'm getting the MetaQuest. The reason I went from the old Oculus to the MetaQuest is the resolution was much better, right? Because we've gone from like VR Tech went from, okay, what cheap ass cell phone displays can we get to now
Yeah.
you can get custom displays fairly matter of factly, especially Valve. They have the buying power. And then the frame actually has, I think it's 2160 by 2160 per each eye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2048 by
2048,
2048.
right? Which is is really really high def LCD screens.
Yeah.
And the Oculus, the MetaQuest, had higher res screen, but it also had a higher refresh rate of 90 hertz. And refresh rate for me is where I found
Yeah.
that's where the sickness happens. If it's a low refresh rate, that's when I was getting queasy, because I used to get queasy in VR all the time with my old headsets. When it was 90 hertz on the MetaQuest, it was much better.
Yeah.
The Valve frame, I think it's from 70 hertz to 120, and then they have an
I
experimental
thought it was
144.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to
So
say 144 is listed as like the, but
top end. So when you're playing games on this new device, if you can get 120 out of it, that's gonna be much smoother experience and much easier on your eyes than I think the previous headsets. I don't know how
Well,
powerful this is going to be for
yeah.
standalone games, but I think as a device that would stream from my desktop, which I'm already used to doing today with the Steam Deck,
Yeah.
I think is a really interesting thing, because I find with the MetaQuest, I don't want to give Facebook any more money. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And like
Right.
their store sucks, right? It's updating all the damn time. I hate logging into it every single
Yeah.
time I kick it up. And most
Yeah.
of the time when I'm on VR, I'm just streaming from Steam anyway with another app, but that app is so cumbersome to connect to Steam on my PC. I just would much rather have a native device that's on Steam. And that's why I'm interested in the Steam frame, right? It cuts out a lot
Yeah.
of crap in the middleman with VR. So I'm kind of curious from that point of view.
Well, this is going to lead into a discussion. This is I don't know if Valve created this tech or somebody else, but there is tech that I'm hearing of now that is integrated called foveated streaming or foveated rendering. FOV, field of view, right?
Okay.
And so it tracks your eye and it renders at full res a small area that your eye is looking at,
Okay.
and renders the rest at a really low resolution so that it keeps the frame rate high.
Interesting. Okay.
And what's really cool, I watched a couple of the YouTube people that went and like tried these out. And one person you could see like the eye tracking, and he's wigging his eyes around trying to catch the thing.
Right.
And he's like, I couldn't see any problem with it whatsoever. The thing, I think the thing has like 20 millisecond tracking of your eyes.
It's neat
So
because even in frantic VR games, like there's one I play occasionally called Pistol Whip, I think it's called, or Super Hot. A lot of time when you're like, it's frantic, you're moving your whole head around, right? So it's
Yeah.
not necessarily your eyes, you're moving your whole head. So it's very interesting, smart tech to just focus on right in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I can't wait to see the, like, was it Digital Foundry? I want to see them do a breakdown and testing of this. I'm very curious on the performance versus how much it costs. I don't think this will be as expensive as the last Valve headset.
I think it's going to be around the same.
You think so?
I am predicting. Here's my prediction: $1,000. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I hope it's not that expensive, but maybe, because like there's no base station cameras. Although I guess it does come with controllers and stuff, and it's beyond board support.
This thing is this is living in the future. This is as much tech as is in your $1,000 phone.
Right. So, but I think the performance is going to be key for me, because the MetaQuest 2, the MetaQuest 3, I think is like $500 US. So it's not as expensive as you might think. But it depends on how much they're putting into Valve's putting into their system. Because like I just don't know, like having had the option of playing games built into a standalone headset versus streaming from a PC. For me anyway, it's much better to just stream from a PC. But I understand for the average consumer, if they just want VR and not have to mess with a computer, then it's attractive to have that there. But I don't know how powerful it's going to be. So I'm really curious.
My buddy has a MetaQuest, the one that's the standalone device, right? And what was really fucking cool, we went camping with his family. Their trailer, our motorhome, we parked next to each other. he brought this headset and we're playing VR because we didn't have to have a rendering computer, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, like, yeah, if I'm at home, I'm with you, Jake. If I'm at home, I'm going to be rendering from my PC because I've got a desktop with a 3080 Ti in it, and I've got a laptop with a 4090 in it.
Right.
I'm going to be rendering from one of those machines. But if I'm going camping and I want to, sit down and play, whatever, I'm just going to have the thing do its own work.
Yeah. The idea of camping with VR is pretty funny though. I already know you go glamping all the time, so it's more like that. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
you know what? You're in a tent, you just want to watch a movie.
Yeah.
It's not a bad way
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah. I want to sit in a theater,
Yeah.
right? Which is what it does, right? It renders the
Right.
theater and the screen and the whole thing.
I
Yeah.
don't know. The one thing I also am curious too about support for glasses, because with the MetaQuest, I barely get it over my glasses because I'm blind as a bat without my lenses. So there's been
Yeah.
times where I thought about getting prescription lenses for the headset, but I don't want to spend that kind of money. I had
Yeah.
heard that the Valve's frame is supposed to be better for folks with glasses. I guess I know Gabe has glasses, so maybe they cater to him.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping
So,
that, and it's not squishing against your eyeballs, and it's
yeah.
not going to fog up as easily. I'm hoping.
So Linus Tech Tips went over this.
Okay.
There are two options. The first is they are, according to what they told him, they will be future offering prescription lenses for it.
Okay.
But because the front foam is modular and is meant to be plug and play, they are making a deeper foam for people with
Okay.
glasses. And they said what that does is it reduces the field of view by like 10% on each side because
Right.
you've pulled the pancake lenses away from your eyes.
Yeah.
So they are offering both. Obviously, the foam is going to be the cheapest and quickest solution. And then you don't have to be like, hey, honey, let me change these out so that you can use the device for, it's just
Right.
click, click, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So,
the MetaQuest I have does have a extension piece of plastic for something similar,
mhm,
but it's such a it doesn't even feel like it makes a difference. So I'm
mm,
definitely thinking that Valve has looked at what Facebook has been doing and is kind of learning some lessons from that
yeah,
device, I think. But yeah,
yeah,
I can't wait till they do reviews on this thing. I can't wait till like Linus gets a hand of it, like fully. Digital
yeah,
Foundry, when they do teardowns and reviews of these devices, I can't
yeah,
wait to see what the specs are. I
yeah.
don't think I can afford
W-
it, but I would I would like one if it turns out good.
Well, I want to touch on a few other things before we move over to what is kind of the big daddy that everybody's talking about. We'll get there, but mention that the controllers have full um like grip feedback or
Yep.
whatever, so just like the original index controllers, it'll read all of your fingers. What's cool is the two motion triggers where you have the first set and then you have a second set. They have a middle finger trigger as well that does the same thing on both.
Okay.
um uh Full D-pad, full so basically they said, "We don't want you to have to think about picking up another controller. If
Right.
you want to pick up the other controller, that's cool, but we want you to be able to, like, seamlessly go into that 2D, 'Hey, I'm just playing a game and watching it in my headset,' with the handhelds." So,
See, I
yeah.
would love that because there is one game that is really rad. It's I think Neon Retro Arcade. I think it's on Steam. I
Mhm.
can't even remember. I don't even know if it's still actively in development, but you basically get to make a VR version of your own private arcade with all the machines and whatnot. Out of the box, it doesn't come with all the games, but there are, cough cough ways to figure it out. And you can make your own game. Like I have mine is set up with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and all these great games.
Yeah.
And like it's great when you're playing like Point Blank in VR because it's just the triggers. But when you
Yeah.
want to play Street Fighter with the 6 buttons, with the MetaQuest, there's only the 2 buttons on each controller,
Mhm.
and you can't do it. So you'd have to
Right.
switch to a regular
Right.
controller, and that kind of ruins the immersion. So I love that they're saying right from the get go, no, if you want to, you can just use the two VR controllers
Yeah.
as one full controller. That's
Yeah.
it's what you want, so you can
Yeah.
play like Super Nintendo games in VR and not have to worry about swapping. So
It's
that's pretty
essentially
interesting.
what the Wii had. It's basically
Right.
split the thing into 2 and you've got,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
And at any moment's notice, you can point your fingers and make it a mouse pointer. I saw
Yeah.
somebody do that in a walkthrough video. So yeah, very
Yeah.
very cool
So
tech in those controllers.
instead of the touch pads, you now have the gyroscopic control of the yeah. And just like on the Steam controller, the new TMR stick tech.
Yeah.
So okay. So anything you want to say on that before we get to the big daddy?
No, I thought I was done with VR gaming for the longest while. I still love the tech. It's still somewhere I'd love to see be more widely adopted, but it's just nothing's really taken advantage of it. So I'm glad Valve is making their own. I'm glad it's standalone. I'm glad it's more front and center with Steam, because all my games are on Steam anyway.
Yeah.
But it's, for me, it's just being somebody who wears glasses all the time, and it sucks doing VR with glasses. It really does. So I'm curious to see how they handle that. But yeah, it just, I have such huge frames. So I'm curious.
Yeah.
I hope it's affordable. I hope it's not $1,000, because that would be like 1,300 Canadian, and that's out of my budget. But if they've taken a cue from Facebook and they're doing a device that's like $500, maybe $600, that's a luxury, but it's a decent price for a VR headset, and could be attractive to a lot of people, especially those who have Steam accounts, right?
Sure. Well, I'm hopeful that it's there, but they keep calling this their new flagship VR device. So that, to me, cries out, this is going to be index tier, right? So
yeah, because that Valve Index is like top of the line, right? That was high resolution. The controllers were solid. Like that's It's interesting that Meta's answer to the Index was a stripped down Quest, right? It was kind of weird. It's like they gave up. So flagship is interesting. Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you right now, and I already pre-warned Sinstress. By the way, hi Sinstress and Chard. I have been watching and reading all of the comments. We've just been busy talking. I already pre-warned Sinstress. This might be a day zero purchase. We'll see. I'm starting to save up now.
Okay.
Because honestly, like I haven't been excited for VR until this.
Yeah.
Well, re-excited. I haven't been like, oh, the Vive was okay, I'm gonna go get an like I looked at the Index and I was like, that's a great device, but do I want to spend $1,000?
Yeah.
I'm now looking at it and saying, I don't want to spend $1,000, but this looks worth $1,000. Gabe, it's not worth $1,000.
I'll tell you, I would not be surprised if it's not going to be next year, but at some point they're going to announce Half-Life 3. It's going to come. We know it is. They're working on it. It's probably going to have VR support out of the box. I'm not saying exclusively a VR game, but it's going to have VR support. So.
Funny enough, Gamers Nexus asked some of the internal internal Valve devs. They're like, "So what about Half-Life 3?" And of course, first off, they're like, basically, instead of saying Half-Life 3 was coming, they said, we don't currently have any game in development that is a VR first game.
Yeah, so that's smart, but I guarantee it's got VR support. That's secondary.
Oh yeah. Well, they said specifically VR first, right?
That makes sense.
Basically, they're saying you're going to be able to play Half-Life 3 on your PC or your Steam Deck. Yeah. Anyway,
actually, there's so Tetris Effect is like a awesome Tetris game that came out a few years ago.
I love it.
And there was a separate VR version, and the VR version is also really great in VR. Very immersive. That whole game, even on a screen, is immersive, but in VR, it's amazing.
Dude, I'd be sick watching how that game moves when I'm playing it on my PC. I'm like, if I had a headset, I'd be like,
oh, it's great in VR though. But Luminous Arise just came out the other week, and that's from the same studio that did Tetris Effect, and it has VR support just built into the game. So that
really,
I'm half tempted to pick up Luminous. I like Tetris more than Luminous, but I know how awesome the music and the graphics were in Tetris Effect. Luminous Arise is the same vibe, and it looks really great. And that I could play it in VR or play it on my desktop, I think is worth the $50. So that's what I'd look out for.
By the way, Sinstress, this is the game that you and I call Lumens. There's a new Lumens out.
Is it
You
Luminous or
didn't hear that.
Lumens? I don't know
I
which
don't
one it
know.
is, but
I don't know.
it's a
Honestly, Luminous
yeah.
makes more sense.
All I know is it's that great PSP game back in the day. Now that's a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've always liked that game, the Lumen game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. Okay. Should we talk the Big Daddy?
Yeah, the big one. This is probably the most
Okay.
exciting part, I think.
Do you want to kick us off?
So when we say the term Steam machines from 10 years ago, it was just an idea, and it was what Valve was trying to get other people to adopt, the standard of home console-like gaming, but with a PC. Nobody really embraced it, so Valve kind of said, you know what, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves, and that's what they've done. So they announced the Steam machine. They literally call it the Steam machine, and it's this cube. That's when I first saw it, I'm like, they're gonna call it the GabeCube. Like, hands down. Like, and everybody's making the same joke. The GabeCube, the Gaben
Yeah.
64, like everybody's making that
Yeah.
crack because it does feel like it does look like a black GameCube minus
Yeah.
the handle. So the Steam machine, pretty awesome.
Yeah. So it is designed to be a television first device. It is designed to live in your television rack, whatever you've got for it's basically it is meant to be the same profile, not width, but height as say an AV receiver so that it can
Yeah.
sit inside your home theater area. Um it runs Steam OS just like the Steam Deck. It is so for those that are nerds like me, it's an AMD Zen 4 processor. So pretty good tech. The GPU is they have fused off the internal GPU on that processor, and it has a semi-custom RDNA 3, so that is previous generation AMD GPU. The 9070 or whatever they are, that's RDNA 4, but it has an RDNA 3. Um, the storage, it'll either be 512 gig or 2 terabytes based on how much you pay. But just like we've mentioned on the other stuff, you can take that micro SD card between this, your Steam Deck, and your Steam frame. And if the game's installed, it just works. Um, Wi-Fi 6, DisplayPort, and HDMI. Um, yeah. And
Yeah.
basically what they said is we are shooting for essentially entry level, which basically means it's actually living a little bit higher tier than a PS5
Yeah,
because a
that's what
PS5 is how many years old, right?
5 years, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what I heard. I was kind of surprised. I know that in the videos I saw, Giant Bomb did one, and they talked about it, and they said it's 6 times more powerful than a Steam Deck, which is awesome because the Steam Deck, I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty powerful for what it is. Is it the highest res gaming? No, of course not. But it was never meant
No.
to be. But for a device connected to my TV, I do want that extra power, and it seems like this will deliver that. I saw it was equivalent to a 76 XT. I think I saw is what I think what people are thinking,
Yeah,
but I mean we won't
probably.
know until they have people have their hands on it, and they're
Yeah.
going to take advantage of AI upscaling. Don't it's probably the good kind of AI. It's what all the
Yeah.
graphics cards do these days.
Yeah. Well,
So it's
that's not Valve's tech. That is AMD's
MDs. Yeah,
RDNA tech. That's
yeah,
what as you said, that's what everybody's using.
yeah. So they'll upscale to 4K 60 for a lot of the games. But the thing what's great to me though is I don't care about 4K gaming really. All I really want is 1080p 60. That's
Yeah.
all I want is 1080p 60. And
Yeah.
consoles don't always give that, and it's 2025. Like
Yeah.
I know that I know higher graphic fidelity in the newer console generations. You always want better looking graphics. That's fine. But all I've ever wanted for years is 1080p 60. And that's why I've been on a PC for the last decade. And I haven't really bothered with consoles except for Nintendo stuff. And I complain
Yep.
constantly about the Switch and shitty frame rates. So
Right?
if the Steam machine can come at me and say, look, is it going to run ultra quality in, whatever? No, fine. But is it 1080p 60 and good enough? Then I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
need the highest graphic fidelity on a device like this, but if it's good enough and it's steady frame rates, I'm all in. I would love
Yeah.
to have a better way to play games on my TV upstairs. I use my Steam Deck to stream from my gaming PC upstairs, and that is good, but it is good for me, but it's not good for my wife and kids who don't want
Right.
to like mess with sunlight, moonlight, and changing res and then fucking around with
Yeah.
controllers. And if something does crash, having to come down to my basement to reset my gaming PC, they don't want to do
Right.
that. Right.
Right.
And like you had said before, Steam OS is so much more smoother of an experience than I ever could have wanted on the Steam Deck. Like it just works, right? Like, can you go on the hood into desktop mode and mess with Linux and all that stuff? Sure. But if you never touch that part of Steam OS, you just use it as like a console, it's pretty smooth. It feels like an Xbox interface. It feels like the PlayStation interface. So this is a very interesting device from Valve, and I'm glad they're finally
Yeah.
doing it. I think the Steam Deck definitely showed them how much of a demand there is for this kind of device for
Yeah.
gamers, PC gamers.
Yeah. My prediction is the 512 gig device gonna probably land around $500. That's my prediction.
What's the PS5 these days? PS5 is
$500 or
$600.
$600. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Valve, unlike Sony and Microsoft, like Sony and Microsoft don't take a hit on the hardware like they used to 10 years ago.
Yeah, they don't subsidize anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Valve, I think, would. Only because Valve gets 30% of almost every Steam game, right? That's how they make
Yeah.
their money. And the more people that are in their store, the more money they make. And
Yeah.
like I've said before, like as neat as the new console hardware is, and I've always been tempted to get a console. Like, again, I haven't had an Xbox since 360. I've never had a PlayStation. And as every time I go to looking at it, I'm like, well, my PC runs games better. And like,
Right.
even before I
Right.
got the new video card, I had a 1650 Super, which was a decent card, but I had it for like
Yeah.
almost 8 years, and that looks better than Xbox, whatever the hell it is, and PS5. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking it's probably be closer to 600 because I mean
Okay.
there's a lot there, but it puts it in line with the current console generation. That's pretty awesome,
Yeah.
and that's kind of a threat to consoles.
Yeah. One of the things I absolutely love is the only like price point difference that you can get in this is your storage. There's no
Right.
effect on the CPU. There's no effect on the GPU. There's no, where like with the PlayStation, it's like, oh, this is you don't get physical, hard drive, or on the Series X versus S, like
The
the
mess.
S is like you get 2/3 of the performance, right?
Yeah.
Like why would you do that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like I understand
yeah,
why they did the tiers for the Xbox, right? Because the cost of a new console is so much more than it was a decade ago. But it just how awful does that have to feel as a fan of the Xbox when you get the S and you can't run the latest greatest, right? It doesn't run as
yeah,
well. And how much of a step back is that for developers when they're porting to the Xbox? Like Baldur's
yeah,
Gate 3 was delayed for so long because they were supposed to cater to the lower specs of the Xbox S. That's
right,
ass,
right,
right? And just
yeah,
yeah, but also like the hardware itself, it's using a laptop RAM, from what I
hmm
saw, and it's replaceable.
yeah,
The hard drive inside is user replaceable. Like they looked at what people
yes,
were doing with their Steam Decks, and they realized within like week one, people are taking apart their Steam Decks to replace
yeah,
things. They definitely embraced that with the Steam machine,
oh yeah,
and that when they take it apart, you can see how easy it is to get to the hard drive and the RAM now, which is
yeah.
fantastic, right?
Now that said, they have done. It is a very custom motherboard. It is
Yeah,
very, very, very custom cooling. And part of
yeah,
that is they looked at like Microsoft in particular, who basically gives you a smaller size, but then throws the power brick on the floor,
yeah,
right? You get the big freaking power brick. And Steam themselves or Valve said, no, the power supply will be in the device. So in that little GabeCube, the power supply exists as well. Like
yeah,
it is literally just a power cord to the wall. There's no brick that sits on the floor because that's
yeah,
a cheat that, most people don't think about. But you pull all of that structure out and yeah, you can shrink it down, right? I
yeah.
mean,
It's interesting though,
Yeah.
because the heat sink, like the heat sink in the Steam machine, is massive considering the size of the
Yeah.
cube. It fills
Yeah.
like half the cube,
Yeah.
and then on the back, it's got a gigantic fan in the back. Like they
Yeah.
definitely did their work on the cooling. I'm curious what's going
Yeah.
to sound like because I know the Steam Deck can get pretty noisy when it kicks into overdrive. I'm
Yeah.
interested in how this thing will sound, but yeah, this is an
Yeah.
exciting
And
device.
yeah. Yeah, honestly, like I want the Steam frame. Like Steam frame is a want, almost a need. The Steam machine is cool enough that it's like that might be something that goes on my list too, right?
Yeah.
Um yeah. Oh, and Chard mentions there's RGB. By the way, it's gimmicky as hell, but oh my god, I saw this and I was like, this is cool as hell. It has a programmable front RGB bar, and the example they showed is download progress of your game.
Well, that's pretty rad. It's
Yeah,
stupid, but
right?
I like it anyway. Yeah,
Right?
because well, 'cause that whole front panel too is also magnetic. It
Uh,
comes on and off for cleaning,
yeah,
and there's gonna be people making custom front plates for it, so you can spec it
yeah,
out. They themselves during demos showed off. They're not selling one, but they showed off an e-ink display that they hacked together as an example of what you
yeah,
could do with it.
yeah,
That's pretty cool. So like
yeah,
if this sells well enough, so companies make accessories for it, that's pretty fun, right? Like I kind of like
yeah.
that kind of stuff. I mean,
I
but
want
otherwise,
to
as a
throw out
device, if
go
it
ahead.
if it hides behind my TV or on my shelf, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
But it does look pretty cool.
Well, I want to throw this out too. It runs Steam OS,
Yeah.
right? So this could be your new desktop computer as well, sitting on your
Yeah.
desk. Think how cool, like think of Apple back in the day when they had the Mac
Oh, the
Cube,
cubes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like imagine this sitting on your desk, and guess what? It boots into big picture. Oh, I need to go do my web browsing and my productivity and all that. Drop into the desktop mode, right?
Yeah.
Because that's already in Steam OS. I use it all the time in my deck.
Yeah. I'll say this, like people are so used to like Mac or they're used to Windows, and I get it. Like I mostly day to day I use Windows. I'm more comfortable in Windows, but Linux is not that bad. Linux is actually pretty
No,
solid. It just comes with not every app you may want to use, right? So that's why I was so surprised with the gaming support on SteamOS, how it runs all the
yeah,
Windows games on SteamOS pretty much flawlessly. I would like to
yeah,
see them do that, but for like apps. Like I would
yeah,
like to be able to run my Photoshop or something on SteamOS. I would like to see that kind of compatibility because
yeah.
I'm ready to ditch Windows. Like I'm so tired of Microsoft's bullshit. Like I was fine with the Windows 10, the forced upgrade to 11. Like even the dumb things like I can't move my taskbar to the side of the screen without a hack.
Well,
Like it's
forced Microsoft account. That's such
that too.
bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
And
Yeah,
it's the enshittification, right? Further
yeah,
enshittification of Windows. And
yeah,
it seems like they do it every couple of years. Whereas like like I really like SteamOS. It got to the point where I wanted to dual boot it on my desktop, but I have
yeah,
an NVIDIA GPU and it's not really
yeah.
supported.
Bazite, my
So
friend, Bazite.
is that it? Okay. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Bazite is a distribution that basically has kind of unhinged SteamOS and added support for a lot of the other desktop hardware. So,
Yeah.
just like SteamOS, it's an immutable OS, but immutable is a scary term. You're probably not going to be worried about changing the things that they have made immutable, right?
Right.
All of your settings, your files, they're mutable,
Right.
right?
Yeah, just don't touch the rest
Yeah,
of it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
SteamOS is really great. And again, it's if you don't want to tinker, you don't have to. And that's what's really
no,
awesome. Like my daughter will play on my Steam Deck. She prefers my Steam Deck over the Switch, to be honest with you, because I have more games in my Steam library, of course, but she just like the screen is bigger, it's nicer looking, the hardware feels better than the Switch. So
yeah,
Steam Machine as a console adjacent device is pretty cool. I I'm hoping that it reaches a wider market for Valve because from what I understand, the Steam Deck, 90% of the owners had existing Steam libraries. So it didn't bring anybody new to Steam. It was mostly people who
right,
love Steam or use Steam anyway, bought a Steam Deck. I'm hoping the
right.
Steam Machine might make things a little bit more accessible to a wider audience.
Is that also a symptom of most people have Steam libraries already? right?
Go
I
buy,
mean,
yeah. So it just like there's just certain people who don't want to deal with PC gaming, period, right? Like my
yeah,
brother-in-law is
yeah,
one of them, right? He's in the military. He like, has an Xbox. He'll buy every new Xbox. He only buys Call of Duty, and he'll buy the latest hockey game or football game, and that's all he ever buys. He's one of those guys. He's the typical gamer who buys 1 to 2 games a year. That's him, and he still buys all the
okay,
hardware. And there's many
yeah,
people that are like him. In fact, what I saw, the majority of gamers, they're not sickos like us. Right? They're the guys. They're the guys who only buy 2 games a year. But these are the folks that don't want to touch a PC, right? Like he has a laptop,
yeah,
and he's asked me to fix his laptop occasionally or help him install
yeah,
something. But when I showed him Steam, his mind was blown. So
yeah,
he loves Steam now, but at the same time, he doesn't like messing with settings. If something needs to go outside of Steam, he doesn't want to do it. This
yeah.
device would be for people like him, right? Where it just
Absolutely, absolutely.
one interface, the shopping's all there, and it just installs the updates. He doesn't have to worry about antivirus. He doesn't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah,
It just works.
yeah,
So that I'm hoping makes it a little bit different, especially when people look at people got to look at consoles. Like again, like you buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, and it can't do a consistent 60 frames per second.
I know.
Like
It
it's come on, like
when your 1% lows are noticeable, that's a bad experience, right?
yeah,
Like you want your 1% lows to be above 60 frames per second,
yeah,
right? And the problem is when you're shooting for 60 frames a second, your 1% lows are going to be a substantial amount below that,
yeah,
right? And when I talk about that, for those people that don't know what 1% lows are, how many times does a game hitch on you? Like you're making it a fast turn and all of a sudden you have that 1 second hitch. That's a 1% low. You have hit something below 30 frames per second for 1% of the time while you're playing,
yeah.
you know.
Like if a
So
game is a smooth 30, it's okay. Right?
it's okay.
I mean I have a great PC now, but I didn't. I a lot of the time like I make my hardware stretch, and there's definitely a
Yeah.
3-4 year period where I have to run things on medium, and 30's fine, right? But it has to be consistent, right? And like you said,
Yeah.
if you're aiming for something, you're not always going to hit it. You're going to have those hitches, and that's noticeable. So
Yeah.
yeah, I am curious. Like, are they going to try and sell this at Walmart next to the Xboxes and PlayStations, or is going to only be an online sold device? I think that's going to be
Uh,
interesting to see if Valve does that.
didn't didn't Valve sell the Steam Deck at Best Buy or something?
Did
I
they?
swear that
I don't
I
remember that.
maybe, I don't know.
I'm gonna check my Mind Pals real quick.
But this really should be maybe not Walmart, but hey, Best Buy. Best Buy would be a good candidate. Definitely sell it on Amazon as much as Amazon pains me. Sell this thing on Amazon, right?
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So, um, no, this is some really exciting tech. And not once, other than when they were talking about 3D rendering, did they say AI, right? So,
you can only buy it online, the Steam Deck.
okay.
So I'm curious if they changed that. I will say their shipping was excellent though. Like it being in Canada,
Yeah.
I bought mine between Christmas and New Year's, and it came within 3 days, during like in
Yeah.
between the holidays. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're right. They didn't say anything but AI, which is it's interesting because
Refresh refreshing.
yeah, refreshing. Yeah, the low bar is so low for how what I expect from companies in 2025. I expect the worst, right? Like when you have companies
Yeah.
like was it Crafton, the guys who did Subnautica, and they recently bought the folks who did Hi-Fi Rush. They
Mm,
recently are offering voluntary buyouts to their staff and are now becoming a AI first game studio. Like fuck off. Like I'm just done with this AI
yeah.
shit, right? So and I understand there's uses for it, fine, whatever. But it is
It
nice that
yeah.
Valve is
If
saying,
you're
you know,
if you're building on something that you've already created,
yeah,
that's fine.
that's the
That's
use
fine.
for it. Yeah.
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 Okay. Anything else we want to say about this?
Just the Steam machine, I just need to know that price. I my first thing was, it's going to be manufactured overseas. There'd be tariffs and all that stuff. It's going to probably be $1,000. But
Yeah.
then the interviews I've seen with Valve over the last couple of days, they're saying they are aiming for affordable. I mean, what does that
Yes.
mean? I mean, who knows? But I'm speculating they are probably more willing to keep the margins very, very thin because they make so much money off their selling games.
Yeah.
Also, I think with the tech that's in it, it's much more powerful than I expected. When I found out it was closer to PS5, that was pretty eye opening to me. I thought it'd be closer to the Steam Deck. I didn't realize they went
Yeah.
that far with it. It makes sense, right? You
Right.
want at least 1080p gaming on a TV, but for
Yeah.
me, it's the price. I can't wait till they announce the price, and I'm also wondering what they announce next year with it, because you can't have a console without a flagship title to go with it. So are they going to announce a title to go
Are
with
they
their
gonna
new
say?
console device?
Are they going to announce and drop Half-Life 3 all at the same time?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because when they
okay.
did the last VR headset, they did some
Yeah.
kind of VR experience mini game thing, right? Like it could be
Yeah.
that, right, with the Steam
Yeah.
machine, but I think they're going to announce a full game.
Well, and the Steam Deck had that cleanup simulator or whatever it was, right? The
Oh,
Steam
that's
Deck
right.
had
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Um, okay, so I was gonna say I am thinking 500. The one thing that I guess kind of scares me is they they genuinely said the words affordable PC, and
Yeah.
sadly that may bump it up to $1,000, right? I mean,
Yeah. I don't know.
because
There's
really an affordable PC is $1,000, right?
I see.
So
Not to call this meme, but PC Master Race on Reddit is pretty good.
uh-huh.
I'm just checking my Mind Palace real quick on what their budget PC is, because their budget PC is pretty beefy. Their their
Didn't they?
starter build is six
Hey,
to seven
Virus
hundred
didn't.
bucks.
Okay, Virus didn't. Didn't they already remaster Half-Life 2?
They did. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you felt great about it.
I fucking hate that game. We'll talk about it later this year. I'm just looking at graphic card. I can't see graphics
So
card.
this is an RDNA 3, which does definitely make it affordable.
Yeah.
Um,
And the AMD Silicon is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had nothing but issues
Oh.
with Intel lately, so I'm all in on AMD next time I do a computer.
Well, RDNA 3 came out when my 3080 came out. I mean, it is of that tier.
Right.
You know,
Which is not
so
that
like,
old, right? Like it's
no.
yeah.
Yeah. So, cool. Anything else you got to say on this?
Yeah, and just I'm glad Valve exists. I hope
Yeah.
they stay like this. Like you, I'm also a bit cynical when it comes to these companies, and like you said, the eventual institution. But we haven't hit that point
Yeah.
yet. So
Right.
I'm
Right.
very excited to see what they do next year with it. And I think, unlike the Steam Deck, I think if I see the Steam machine being what it checks all the boxes for me, I will probably pick one up. The VR thing
Yeah.
is cool, but I think I could probably hang away from the VR for a bit. But yeah, not gonna lie, I'm gonna buy that controller either way, though. I have a thing for controllers, especially.
I know
gaming
you
ones.
do. I know
Yeah.
you do. It's gonna live like behind
Yeah.
your shoulder.
Oh yeah, I might even use it.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I wanna talk about, we have a Patreon. Please don't feel like we're, begging for cash. We love you if you join our Patreon. There are benefits, but really we just love you listening and hanging out. But tonight we did a first tasting of a new beverage. And I will tell you, it's eggnog meets Dr. Pepper. It sounds weird, but it's eggnog meets Dr. Pepper. There is a much larger version that we're going to release for our Patreons of our experience tasting it, but fucking good.
And for $1 a month, you can see us taste Dr. Pepper and eggnog and other behind the scenes videos we do each month. So
Yeah.
it's not hard to get in if you can.
And
if you can't, then don't worry.
yeah,
about it.
and a shout out to our Presbyterian tier members, Von Beardley and Cthusiast Jeff. Thank you both. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's an episode, unless we.
Oh, real quick, we're part of the Superpod Network. Check out superpodnetwork.com. And I'm going to shout them out real quick. They added a new show. Where is it? One sec. Gosh, there's so many great shows. I'm finding it. Retro Game Room with Sam and
Ah,
Sarah. They're brand new as of last week. Go check them out. That's my
all right.
shout out
I
for the
need to go
week.
check him out. I didn't
Yeah.
know. So thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Pod. Lots of awesome podcasts. We're proud to be members of the Super Pod Network. Um, cool. Uh, Chard Monk is okay. So we're this is Friday, November 14th, right now. Chard Monk is probably playing some more Silent Hill F this weekend, maybe even tonight. But this weekend, I assume Chard can probably put something in our Discord, which come join our Discord, tell us how we're wrong, tell us how we're right. Just do something. We love to,
PressBTCancel.com for links.
yeah, yeah, pressbtocancel.com or pressb.org.
Thanks, Chard.
Yeah. I am going to be doing a couple hours of DJ stuff tomorrow on Soul Archaic's channel. He's out of town, so I'm rolling solo. I'm taking over his channel. I may turn his channel into a shit show out of spite.
Does that
It
mean you
may
start
be
playing country
all
songs? Is that what you do?
no, it may be all Mariah Carey, all I want for Christmas.
God.
That may be all it is.
Way to entice people to watch.
Right? Right. Anyway, this has been another Press B to Cancel. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here. We will see you next time.